Welcome to Easy Math TV. We're going to do another quadratic type application. This time our goal is we're given an equation for either cost, revenue, or profit. In this case, it's profit. And the equation we're given is a quadratic function. And then we're going to be answering three questions based on that. What is the startup cost? What is the break-even point? And at what production value or selling value would we need, how many items, in order to maximize profit? So it's a three-part question. In this first video, we're going to address the first two, and then there will be a second video that will answer the third part, because I want you to see how I actually go about answering the question without having it all done ahead of time. So my spreadsheet is pretty blank right now. Column A is going to be my x's. Those are values that are in the thousands. So when x is 0, that's really just 0. And when x is 10, that really is 10,000. And when x is 20, that's 20,000. But the questions do want us to round things to the nearest thousand anyway. So basically, we're rounding x to the nearest whole number when we're answering parts B and C. So in order to set up my spreadsheet, I'm also using a calculation here for the profit that's based on a quadratic function. And quadratic functions have a value of A, a value of B, and a value of C. That's going to be in columns D, E, and F. So those are going to be copied from our formula that's given to us. With that way, I can use this again if the function changes and those constants change. I can update the spreadsheet and still answer the questions. So this particular profit function is negative 3x squared plus 1,482x minus 17,000. Those may seem like daunting numbers, but they're not daunting for Excel. So my value of A is negative 3. Just so we know that that's a quadratic function that basically is upside down. So it's an upside down U. That's just interesting to know. So it definitely does have a maximum. The value of B is 1482. So I'm going to put that in. And then the value of C is negative 17,000. We need to make sure that we put that negative in there. So when it says what is the company's startup cost, honestly, if we had a graph, we could see it as the y-intercept, but it's just the value of C taken as a positive number. So the answer to that is just 17,000. So sometimes, math questions are just designed for you to just look at the information that's given and how do you interpret the information that's given, because it may just be given to you right in the problem. And in this case, it is. The company's startup cost is right in the equation. There's nothing that we have to calculate. But to answer the second question, though, we will need to do some calculating, because when it says how many items to the nearest thousand does the company need to sell in order to break even? Well, that means, so the meaning behind that is we're looking for a place where the profit equals 0, or at least as close to 0 as possible. And I filled in just a few values of x over here, 0, 10, and 20. And we can see that the profit was negative at first, and then it jumps to a positive number somewhere between 10 and 20. So that indicates to me that maybe we need to see those values. So I'm going to put an 11 and a 12 and a 13. And I'm just going to hit scroll down there or copy down. So it looks like profit becomes 0 somewhere in between 11 and 12. So basically just what I suggest doing, since we're rounding to the nearest whole number, I suggest inserting a row and putting in the value of right halfway between 11 and 12 is 11.5. So let's put in the 11.5 and let's copy that down. So the question comes down to this: does the profit become zero in this, in between 11.5 and 12? Or does it become zero between 11 and 11.5? Which half? Which half is closer to zero? And the answer is that it's going to hit zero between 11.5 and positive 12. In fact, it looks like it may even be almost exactly halfway in between those. But we don't need the exact answer because part B says how many items to the nearest thousand, right? So we're not even going to give a decimal answer. It looks like the nearest thousand is going to be when x equals 12. So that is our nearest thousand where the profit becomes zero. Um, I mean, you know, to satisfy your curiosity, you could fill in some other values of x and calculate what the profit is for different decimal values of x between 11.5 and 12 and see if you can find one that comes really close to zero. But that's not the purpose of this video. We're just getting to the nearest thousand, and we've answered that question. So stay tuned for the second part. We're going to answer question C. Please like, subscribe, comment down below if you're finding these videos helpful, share them with people, and I'll see you in part 2.